Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. You guys know who I am, and you know what I like to do on my show. Say it with me. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to get you fired up about my guest. I'll be spending time today with Shonda Scott, award winning CEO, civic leader, philanthropist, author, and small biz advocate. So, you know what I'm going to tell you to do? Go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea because we are about to get started. Hello, Shonda. Thank you so much for joining me here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
Hello, Dr. Angela. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm coming from California.
Absolutely. And I am so excited to have you on the show and to talk about the awe that you have done. I love the various hats that you wear, so I cannot wait to talk to you about all of that. Now, I realize I may be introducing you to some new listeners out there. So before we get started, let me ask this. You are such an amazing person. Thank you for stepping in and stepping out and shining your light with the world. What makes you you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first, I am a Christian. I'm a child of God. Everything I do is centered around faith, including the book I wrote called Give Me a Year, 12 New Things to Embrace Change and Live Your Best Life. It's a faith-based book. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. So it's in my blood and it's in my family line. And I'm excited about that. And I'm a mother. And my son is a full-grown adult now, and he's also an entrepreneur. So now we have five generations in our family, and that kind of makes us work. We know the importance of business to community, business to even church, and business to just making life happen in our community. So I am a small business advocate. Advocate for small businesses, whatever table I can sit at. I want to be a voice that brings in the voices that aren't often heard at the table. I always have this quote about, if there's a table, find you a seat. If there's not one, grab you a seat. Better yet, build your table so that you can invite people to sit at your table, and you can control the conversation, and you can also control what resources are available to your community and the people that aren't normally at those tables. So that's kind of who I am in a nutshell. I have this whole adventure for life now where I'm saying do something new and different each month to get you out of your comfort zone so you can embrace change in fun, exciting ways. But then it also allows you to be open to all the possibilities God has for you. And being stuck in our mindset is the only thing that doesn't change if we don't allow it, because everything else around us is changing. So the natural course of life is that things are going to change. So the more we embrace it and become a part of that change, I feel that life opens up for us in ways we can't even explain. So that's just it in a
Agree.
nutshell, if I could sum
Yeah.
me up in a bit. Um,
I love it. I love it. And you are so right. Don't Now, one of the things that I like about how you describe yourself is that you are a God-made businesswoman. What does that phrase mean to you? How you live your life, how you lead, and how you help teach others to make good decisions?
for me, all the successes that I have, I can contribute to God. There's nothing that I've done in my life that I could say I did it on my own. So the
Yeah.
whole self-made person does never set well with me, because it always is more it for me it's always been about God. Because even when I started my business, the things that I was going after, and I just knew I had in the can, and these were going to be the best contracts that I had, those didn't even come up. God would always give me one that I wasn't even tracking. I didn't even know. It just came to me in a way that God only God could have done it. So I just, and that's been 20 years of this business. And then I talk about it in my book. Is different places where I can clearly hear God's voice or know God's hand was involved. And so for me, I feel more comfortable saying I was God made because the
Yeah,
things that have blessed me in my life only can give God the glory. Although I may be doing the work, there may be somebody that's the messenger. There may be somebody that's on earth that's like the angel that comes through, but I know that it's from God. And so that's why I say I feel more comfortable saying I'm God made because self-made just doesn't sit well with me because I
yeah.
cannot actually say that I did it all by myself.
Yeah. I can really, I can see, if you will, some of my listeners going, absolutely, that was a phrase that we need to be saying. If, you say, well, I'm a Christian and I'm this, I'm a child of God and all these other things, but we don't say that. People do have a tendency to say, I'm self-made, when we really and truly are God made in every sense of the word. So why not use it there? I love that. I'm definitely going to include that on my list of things to say. Thank you for introducing that
You're welcome.
to
And it's
us.
so
We love
interesting
it.
because oftentimes when you talk to people and you say something that is just amazing that happened in your life, and they say,
Yeah,
well, how did you do that? And you're like, God, and they want so much more. Like that just doesn't,
right.
it's like you
It
really want to
doesn't
say, no,
satisfy
really, it was
them.
God. Like I can't really, yeah, I did this. Yes, I asked. Yes, I did the work internally. Yes, I did the things that
Right,
set in place, but that doesn't mean that was going to be the outcome. That wasn't the
right,
get, the outcome really comes like God brought that. I was doing work in this area. I was ready and able, and I was open and available. That's why I like about my 12 new things journey. Like it makes you open and available. But what
right.
manifests, you cannot, I mean, I personally cannot say I would take credit for it because it's like, really? You just so great you did. No, it's a whole lot of dots that connected that aligned perfectly for that moment to happen, and it happened in a way that was in God's divine time. But
Yeah,
the credit, I give credit where credit is due. And it's like sometimes people aren't that comfortable because oftentimes in your career, you have to show that it's you in order to get elevated. You have to show that it's you to do. And I
right.
believe that that keeps us at certain levels. Because I know some
Yes,
of the great people that I've seen in my life that have done some incredible things, they are attributing it to their God blessings. And so
absolutely.
that to me is like, hello, you get comfortable saying thank you, God, thank you, Jesus, because that changes the whole paradigm. You will have some
Right,
success, but if you want to see some like supernatural, beyond your expectation, extraordinary success, then
right.
give God
That's
the
it.
glory and He'll take care of
Each and
even that.
every time. Speaking of such, you've helped transform business models in ways that have led over $200 million being reinvested in underdeserved communities. How did purpose, how did leadership, how did your faith play a part in all of that?
So, one, I want to add a plus to that 200 million because it's been more than that, but so because of the continued work that we're doing, but it takes courage. And I tell people doing the right thing and doing what's best for a broader community sounds good on paper, but when you're in rooms, it can be actually a scary thing because you could be a lone voice or you have to push through so much to get the outcomes that
Yeah,
are best for not just you, but the broader community and people who aren't at the table. And so for me, it takes me having a strong sense of faith, being prayerful in advance of going into meetings so that I can speak boldly as I ought to speak, as the Bible says, so that I have that full armor on me, so that I am
yeah,
ready to go. Because oftentimes when you might mean well to do the right thing, you are hit with such opposition that you have to fight to push for the right as if you are in a battlefield for
yeah.
in warfare for wrong,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so for me it's important that I keep myself centered and keep my eye on what God is leading me to do. And then I just find that God puts the right people, the right angels, the right
Yes.
alignment for what needs to be done. If you're doing the work with the right intention, you're doing your work that you need to do, like you do your homework. You know the programs, you know the best way, best strategies, and you will have the right people at the table. So all of
Mhm.
that comes in alignment with your leadership. I lead with love and with God. I just feel like I don't feel comfortable any other way. My whole
Yeah.
core doesn't feel right if I'm not leading that way because my thinking is that God has me at the table for a reason.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
reason is a God reason for me.
Yeah.
So I can't, I don't even get the leeway to do it any other way because it just doesn't work for me any other way.
Right.
The other way just
Right.
doesn't work for me. I don't get those out. I don't get the great outcomes in the other way. That model doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So I feel like the best peace that I have is when I am saying in sync with an intention with what God has given me and being obedient there, but then having the
Yeah.
courage to speak up because you think, oh, you could have all the right ideas, but you can be in a room with people that just don't want to do it. And sometimes it's not just malice. Sometimes it's just, it doesn't, they think it's not going to be profitable enough for them.
Right.
They
Right.
just don't want to do it that way because it's easy to do the way we've been doing it. And we know these
Right.
people and they can do it. So why are you trying to include others? We don't know them.
Right.
We don't know what they can do, and oftentimes you're up against people saying things that aren't true about other people's businesses just because
Yeah.
they don't want to include them. And it's like, no, well, is that factual or is that anecdotal? Because if it's anecdotal, then I have a different anecdotal assessment that I can bring to the table because that's not accurate. Like if you can give facts that if you bring these different kind of groups to the table that have the same skill set and education as everybody else, and they're
Mhm.
going to do an awful job, a worse job, then bring those facts up. But you don't have those facts because that's not the case. All
Right.
businesses have challenges. All industries have changes. Everything is cyclical. So you can't point to this one group that has the same educational background, has the same skill set, just haven't had the opportunities that others have had historically, that they're going to
Mhm.
be worse. Your project's going to be worse because now they're at the table. So,
Right.
so I'm saying that to say that in those rooms, sometimes you have to be speaking up for people who aren't at the table in a way that gives you this courage. And the courage doesn't come from me, my own self. Me personally, I
Right.
would be afraid to have that conversation. Just no, higher power for me. I'm not the one that just comes in the room like that. Even though I may have that kind of
Right.
personality, that's not how I feel inside. But with when they say you can do all things with Christ, it's like you really
Yeah.
do have to believe that you have some other power greater than you pushing you in the rooms. And if you're in these
Yeah.
rooms, to anybody listening, if you're in these rooms, if you're not at the table bringing other that kind of supernatural power, voice or voice for other people to the table, then you almost question like, why are you there? Because anybody could be there and just sit there. And
Right.
anybody could be there and not want to add value to other people, especially
Right.
if you look like the other people. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so I just really say that it's the faith part gives you the courage because courage is not what people think all the time. Sometimes it to say the right thing or to be the voice that speaks on behalf of others that aren't there to speak takes courage, but that's not how you think of
Absolutely.
it. But
Yeah.
it really does take courage to speak up. Even if you're in a situation where we're young people, even if you're in a situation or old, it happens to all of us. If somebody's saying something negative about somebody else and you don't say anything, that's not courageous. But if
Right.
everybody's saying something negative about somebody and you decide I'm gonna be another voice, that takes courage because you are not necessarily you could be the lone voice in there, and you could have people not happy with you just because you're saying what is a more positive scenario than what's being discussed. But it's
Yeah.
easier to stay quiet. It's not easy to speak up necessarily. It's easier to stay quiet. So it takes
Yeah.
courage to use your voice and to be the voice. for those who don't may not have a voice at tables
Yeah.
where you have an opportunity to speak.
Absolutely. You're so spot on there. And I
Kind of thing.
agree.
So,
Oh, I love it.
mhm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it is time for us to take a very short break. But before we do, now we know, of course, that your book is available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. But if someone wants to reach out to you, what is the best way to reach out to you and the best way to find you on socials?
So I have a website with all my information with the 12 new things. Everything's on there, including me, how to reach me and connect for, speaking engagements and our social platform. So it's 12newthings.com. The number 12 newthings.com. So it's 12newthings.com. And on social media, I'm on Instagram, Shonda Scott 360, and that's Shonda Scott with two T's 360. And that's how you can find me. But if you go to 12newthings.com, all of it connects.
Alrighty, now you know where you can visit. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Budchester. My guest today is Shonda Scott, award-winning CEO, civic leader, philanthropist, author, and small biz advocate. Let's jump back into our conversation. You have a way of assisting people to see themselves in a new light and with new possibilities. What has helped you move forward, even when outcomes were uncertain? How did you move past the fear?
Well, my first thing is a prayer for me, and I
Yeah.
start my day that way. And I just can't let it go because that's really that what I don't want to let go of when I'm in have to speak in front of people or just have to prepare for some meeting. I just find my inner peace helps me get through and do extraordinary things with that, with the prayer. But what I've done with the whole 12 new things platform is that I have this premise that if you want to see change in your life and in your world, it starts with changing you. So if anything's happening that you don't like in your world, in your life, in your business, you have to like first look at you and what you need to change differently to see a different outcome. But I
Yeah.
also know that's not easy to do. Changing yourself is just not, that's the most thing we're most afraid of because
Right.
change, we might want to change some things, but we don't want to change other things. And I'm saying everything changes except our
Hmm.
mindset if we choose not to change. But literally everything else around us is changing every second of the day. Like nothing is the
Yeah.
same, except somewhere in our mindset we thought, oh, that should stay the same. Like for why? So I said, well, how can you make change something that people would embrace without knowing that we're actually conditioning ourselves to be open to change and however that looks? And I was like, oh, I'm going to do a social experiment and I'll be the experimentee. I'll do this social experiment on social media where I'll do
Yeah.
something new and different each month. And it was like, that's how I started the whole premise of the 12 new things is that I
Uh-huh.
said I would do it. It was just a fun experiment
Yeah.
before the pandemic. So by the time the pandemic hit, it was a year after I had started my whole 12 new things and I was going to end it in February of 2019 because that would have been the year completion of it from my birthday in February to the birthday the next year. And so in 2020 would have been the end of that year of February.
Okay.
And by that time I said, "Oh, you know what? This is a lifestyle. This is an ongoing way we have to live life. Like we always have to be doing things where we are embracing change. Not only
Yes.
does it help us be open to change, but also it helps us have fun along the way. And even when
Right.
things is stressful and chaotic, we still have this little thing that we've decided to do, big or little, each month
Yeah.
that makes us excited about something in our lives. And so
Hmm.
by the time my birthday came in February, I had decided that. And there must have been a blessed premonition from God that gave me that because in 2020 March, the world shut down. And that's
Yeah.
when it became so more relevant to so many people that I knew that they were like, oh, I need to find new things because we all literally had to find new ways to do almost everything in
Everything.
our life
Yeah.
in a blink.
Yeah.
So then it became like there was times we had to figure out how to stay inside and exercise and stay healthy while we were sheltered in place. So then you
Yeah.
started doing all these things on Zoom, like these types of interviews and other things that we didn't do before March 2020.
Yeah.
But it made us be able to pivot, and it made us realize that change can happen like that fast in a blink of overnight, and it's
Yeah.
always happening. And so the whole 12 new things lifestyle has helped me just kind of be able to be more in in cooperation with how change happens than more than resistant, and then making it fun where it's something new and different that you choose to do, because everybody's 12 new things journey is different. Like mine, I give examples of what I've done and what I like to do, but then others have done other ones. But it's about you doing something new and different, whatever you choose. And since you choose it, it becomes exciting to
Hmm.
you too, even if it's challenging. So some of mine I thought would be fun and exciting and easy, and they challenged me, like jumping in the middle of the ocean and swimming miles in the ocean in an open swim, and I'm a good swimmer. That challenged me in ways that I didn't expect. But me staying with it and getting to the end, I was so fulfilled and so rewarded in the end, just from that sense of accomplishment, that I felt a deeper sense of purpose and a deeper sense of connection with God just from doing that one thing that challenged me. But at
Yeah.
the end, I had so much fun and enjoyment, um, after coming through it, that it was exciting. But each person comes up with their new thing. It doesn't have to be jumping in the ocean. You can decide to go discover things in your own backyard, like your local zoo.
Right.
You may not have
Hmm.
gone since you were a child, and now there's all these new exhibits, and now you
Right.
can discover it as an adult and make it fun and light and just do something. Or you can decide that in that month you're going to do find four new things in your community that you've never done before, and that's what you're going to do for your new thing in one of your months. So it doesn't have to be,
Absolutely.
jumping into the ocean unless
Right.
that's what you choose to do. It
Unless
can
that's your
just
thing,
be
right?
right. It can be just as simple as going a different route to work every day for a week and
Yeah.
seeing what you see differently, because the fact that you're doing something different and you're opening yourself up to change makes you more open to all the other possibilities. And that's what
Yeah.
gets you unblocked, because oftentimes the fear blocks us. And on the other side of fear, so many people and so many specialists and experts have said and proven, and people, just everyday people, will tell you, once you get on the other side of fear, there are so many blessings that are so waiting for you. But what blocks it is that fear that allows you not to see what's on that other side. And that's where, for me, faith comes in. That's where, having this whole 12 new things journey, it makes you increase your faith, because some of the things you might decide to do, you have to have faith to believe that they will happen, or have the faith to put it together so that they will happen. And then it also, you may meet somebody in a situation that you would have never met because you decided to do this new thing. Like I
Yeah.
decide to go to an event at my local library that's a free event for, people talking about whatever. And I decide to go, and you meet someone who you connect with that ends up being a lifelong connection, or ends up being someone
Yeah.
that your child may end up marrying. You're like, you just, it
Right.
opens you up, and you think about, like, if I didn't do that new thing, this wouldn't
Hmm.
happen, so
Hmm.
that's the fun part about the journey. I have people that are, all part of all on the 12 new things lifestyle, that are in their 80s, and they've done everything in their career they wanted to do, and now they're
Wow.
learning how to play golf, something they never knew before, and lived
Yeah.
on a golf course their, most of their life.
Right.
So it's just like whatever, you could go to a
I love
different
it.
restaurant. I even hosted a dinner with 12 strangers. That was something I wanted to
Yeah.
do, just to see, because when you sit with different people with different backgrounds and different expertise and different upbringings, you realize you have more in common than you have different. And that's
Yeah.
differences. And that part is fascinating to me, because you would think on the surface, we would have nothing in common. Nothing about us is the same. But then you realize, when you talk about your experiences, how you feel about life, when you get to that core values, or the core feelings that they have, just overall, even if you have opposing views on things, you
Yeah.
realize you have more in common than you have differences. And just finding those things out in life can be fascinating. And it doesn't even have to be anything big and grand, but you're just open. And you're training,
Yeah.
like you talked about earlier, you're really training yourself, and we're training our mind to get to be okay with change, and that it doesn't always have to be fearful, it doesn't always have to cause anxiety, that it can be fun, and that, and sometimes when it comes up and it could be a challenge, it may be giving us the time to just take a beat back and assess if we're going in the right direction, if we're making the
Yeah.
right decision, if this is in our best interest. It just gives us that pause to just kind of reassess.
Yeah. You are so right there. Challenge yourself to see the world and to see it a little differently. I love it. As Dr. Maya Angelou would say, we are more alike, my friend, than we are unalike. And
Mhm.
talk to a stranger, have something different, and see if perhaps you don't meet a new friend. I love that. I love that advice. Well, Shonda Scott, thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us here today. I've enjoyed my conversation with you. Now, I know that you have encouraged someone, you've inspired them for sure. We know that your book, of course, is available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. And you are also online as well as on socials. If you could remind us, please, really quickly, what is your website? Again, I know that they can start there and that will branch them off into the other locations.
So it's 12newthings.com, the number 12 new things with an S.com. And then I'm on social media. You can look it up at 12 New Things as well on IG and on TikTok. And I'm Shonda Scott 360. And so I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I love talking about the whole 12 New Things lifestyle and how it is like transformative to anyone's life, just for
Yeah,
them to choose to do something new and different each month.
that's it.
So by the end of the
Choose.
year, they've done 12 new things. And then from there, they can just write all the transformations that happened in their life just by the little incremental changes that we do and that we embrace at least once a month.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show.
Well, thank you and have a lovely evening, and all the best to you as well. And
Thank
congratulations.
you. Thank you. And listeners, thank you for spending some time with us here today as well. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend it with us, and I thank you for doing so. I hope that we have once again enlightened, inspired, and empowered you. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone.